Well, it is Tuesday. This is Trekland HQ, and we are live. Woohoo! Picard Week, me, and VCT. VTC. Let's do that again, okay? No, really, seriously. It is Picard Week, me, and VTC. Today on episode 295, you know what that means, of Trekland Tuesdays live with me, Dr. Trekland Nemechek, coming right at you from the heart of Trekland through Portal 47 and all things Trekish here for some clarity, some sanity, and the big picture in all things Star Trek. It's another Tuesday. It's a happy Valentine's Day. I don't like to time these, but since we're all here because we love Star Trek, why not? And what a week to love. So much Star Trek happening. It's in the title this week. Those 7 weeks of hiatus seem so far behind. It's kind of amazing what's been happening. And as much as it can be done, I think it's a global feeling. We've got everybody on board, no matter what. Everybody's hanging in for the same show on the same couple of channels, and then Canada with your weird too. We're not weirding out about where it can be seen, all that. We've got Paramount Plus, we've got Prime around the world. We've got everybody on board. We've got most of the world looking forward to it. I'll have more on that in a minute. And then we've got even more than the simple debut of the latest Star Trek series going on. And before I go any further, I want to say, hey, happy Tuesday again for everybody. Thanks so much for joining us. If you are new to Trekland Tuesdays Live, welcome. Peldar Joy and all of that stuff. Hey, if you haven't figured it out, we've got chat going. We've got a great TTL community going in the chat. So if you are new, or even if you're not, chime in, let us know how you're doing, where you're coming in from, where you're beaming from. And how's the weather? Because it still is winter, and that's still a topic of polite conversation. No, here's the deal. If you're new, I'm going to get off on a soapbox here. It's hardly a rant. Maybe today it's a love fest in view of Valentine's Day. But just kind of a wide open look around at where we are right now. But yeah, join in the chat. I won't get back to the chat until I finish my topic. We take a tiny micro break. We're going to look at some actual Parrot Analytics figures today on popularity and buzz on the internet. And then I'll get back and dive into the chat big time. But feel free to go ahead. I especially look for actual Trek questions, canon, history, that kind of thing. So that's more the AMA part of it. But feel free to have fun. We'll be all that. And a note. If you are on Facebook, you're only going to see the Facebook questions. If you're on Twitch or YouTube, you're going to see everybody's question. Okay? Always a good reminder to like and subscribe, whatever you're watching us on, especially YouTube. And that's it for today, because my head is spinning. Now, look, most of you, if you're here with me today live, and hey, if you are watching us later, try to catch us live if you can. I know it's hard. It's midday for the Americans, but jump in when you can, okay? And feel free to leave a comment at any time. But right, it's hard to have walked planet Earth in the last week. I've seen Picard trending on Twitter at times. Two great events, especially last Thursday here in LA. We had a good old-fashioned Hollywood premiere at the Grauman's Chinese, no less. A lot of you, no matter where you were in the world, got to see. They didn't live stream it, the arrivals even, but there are tons of pictures. The studio has, fans did. It was a little dicey because at first they oversold the theater. I know. Well, they didn't oversell. They overstuffed the theater. But then they opened up a side room, which had everything except the microscopic Terry Metalis and Alex Kurtzman, and the not quite so microscopic Patrick Stewart, Sir Patrick, talking at the beginning. Otherwise, it was all the same. So everybody got in. I did a second opinion this last week, my little video short series on the premiere especially. So I'm going to save most of that for that experience. But what's reflecting around the globe, including last night's New York event, which was actually a charity for the 92nd Street Y in conjunction with them. Somewhat smaller, but still you had Sir Patrick and Gates and Jonathan and Michael Dorn, and a moderator, having fun before the screening, after the screening. So everybody's gotten into the mood as much as can be done around the world, that's short of a movie budget. People online are screaming, and you know what? Here's the thing, and here's the data part of today's show, as much as we can call it data. The build for the promotion for this series has gone through the roof. Now, that's the job of promoters, right? To do that. I'm curious to know what you all think, and we can talk about this in the chat when we get back around to it. But I didn't have time to do this in an email, so I didn't hit my email list, but I hit my social channels. And I didn't get Facebook because you can't do more than a couple options in Facebook. It pisses me off. So if you were on my Twitter or you were on my Instagram and either stories or reels, I ask everybody their opinion about Picard based on the promotion. You can say hype if you want to, because what's funny is I've been seeing, and you know, it's a natural human reaction. And it's a natural human reaction, especially by people that feel they've been burned. Because, as I said in my second opinion, we are not a Stepford fandom. As long as we're not actual bought off bots and trolls, people do have a range of opinions. Now, it feels like maybe it's as unified for Picard as anything has ever been out of the gate. There was a lot of expectancy around Strange New Worlds. Can you please be the return to our savior of the standalone episode? And that pretty much has been fulfilled, although once the glow of the season was ended, a few longtime canonistas were kind of like, eh. And I'm not talking about the controversy around the finale episode. I'm talking about the whole thing. There's a lot of needle threading going on with Strange New Worlds, and not to knock its shine at all. But there was that. I think even the Strange New love has been surpassed. There was a lot of love for Lower Decks once people got on board, a lot of love by a lot of surprised fans once Prodigy wound up its second 10 of the first season. Oh my God, I didn't realize I would like it this much. I didn't realize they were going to deep dive so much. I thought it was just a cartoon about the kids. And it is, but more. But out of the gate, and we're going to talk about this too in a little bit, it's even reflected in the parrot analytics ratings, which we'll take after the break. But right now, in your bones, in your gut, as you watch, well, sure, Terry Metalis, who to most of you is just a face that's popped up, and maybe you watched his show 12 Monkeys, the series adapted from the movie. Maybe you're just following along. Maybe you were swayed by Gates McFadden saying, oh my God, if they'd only written Dr. Crusher like this during the series, I would have been so much happier. This is the best Gates material ever. Maybe if you've read every actor in the main cast talking about how enthused they were for this shoot, maybe that got you peaked. Maybe that set you off, or maybe it's just this kind of tidal wave that seems to be flowing. And maybe if you're a skeptic, you know, maybe if you fry a whole bread in your kitchen and don't know, they think your wife and kid have gone crazy, Google it. It's an old commercial. Maybe you're a skeptic and you think, oh, come on. They always hype the shows this much. They always promote them this much. I'm just going to tell you, there are a couple of times in Star Trek history that this moment reminds me of. One of them was more behind the scenes, because out front, there was a lot of controversy. But behind the scenes, you know, the Wrath of Khan started off as a budget not buster, a budget saving follow-up to the motion picture that was filmed by the TV movie division of Paramount. But what they saw on film was exceeding expectations. And even with the debate and the controversy about Spock being killed off and the leak and the poll about people were going to boycott the box office and the licensed merch and all of that, backstage, people were really, really excited. And the most hardcore case of all, Leonard Nimoy, decided not to leave the franchise after all, based on what he saw in the dailies and knew was coming down the road. He saw it happen and saw Spock could be a viable character that wouldn't taint his career. It wouldn't be stereotypical. But didn't hurt that he turned that also into a directing gig, used his clout and leverage to get that directing gig. There's that. There's also the case of Star Trek IV, which once it rolled together, was causing such a bubble backstage with the excitement about the performances, the excitement about the tie-in with the Save the Whales message, good old Star Trek message show, that they boosted the budget for worldwide promotion, showed it in Moscow in the Soviet Union as détente was starting to take hold, and bumped up a week early for the debut. But there was that kind of behind the scenes excitement. I think I'm rapidly trying to run through everything in my memory of when backstage excitement for a product equaled out front excitement, and sometimes it's been misguided and misplaced. I think since then people have been, because even TNG started off with a year or two of growing pains and chaos on the bridge, right? Everything else, through whatever the medium, whatever the audience, the mechanism, delivery system was, TV, movies, streaming, new startup network, everything got in the way a little bit of that. I almost feel like this is the first time since Star Trek 4 that there's been this alignment ahead of time, and everybody backstage just can't help themselves. Yeah, the promoters are paid to promote, but it's a lot easier when their work is done for them. And that said, as I said in the second opinion this week, you don't ever want to wall off what you can't ever speak for everybody. So I was curious to know how people were as much reacting to the promotional hype as they were reacting to what they'd seen in the promos, in the trailers. And the trailers look awesomely good. I said in the second opinion, everybody from the shippers to the ship pornistas, from the commentary folks to the canonistas, I think everyone's going to have something to love in this hour. Now, I got through 4 episodes of my 6 on the screener. I still haven't got over the hump to watch the last 2, but the first 4 are amazing, and 6 is 6 out of the 10. And I hate using such superlatives. Basically, this is a Trek show with older characters, and they're all doing heroic things. A skeptic might sit back and say, really? But then we watched our original series folks in Star Trek 4, 5, and 6, and even Little in Generations, doing incredible things at their age. And hey, it is the 23rd, 24th century. So I'm there. Excuse me. And my quest was to find out what everybody else thought at this moment in time. So last night, if you're on my channels, here's the results I got. I posted a little 4-part, wasn't like our email surveys that go into me. It was a 4-answer sequence that I pulled on my Instagram Reels, which are the longer form, Instagram Stories, which are 30 seconds, and Twitter, which sits there. Okay. You could still even go over and vote if you want to. On Instagram Reels was the one that had the biggest pushback, I guess. So here's the thing. I had 4 answers. I'm excited about Star Trek Picard. I'm watching, but I'm skeptical. That was number 2. Number 3, nope. Picard season 1 and 2 lost me. I'm not, fool me once, shame on me. Fool me twice, shame on you. So A, that they're not watching. And D was, I don't watch any new in Trek. So it's not even on my radar. So that was an answer. I didn't, as I usually do with the email, I didn't ask about technical capacity or, financial situation, can't subscribe, or even, I know someone with screeners and I'm just going to watch those. No, so those are the 4. So of those 4 on Reels, the turnout was, and this is a good turnout, 75% said I'm excited. 22% said I'm watching, but I'm skeptical. And yes, 1% said, nope, not watching. Picard, you burned me already. And 1% said, I don't watch new Trek. Now that was on Reels. On Story, which is the 30-second bits that go away after 24 hours. It's amazing how this is echoing. That was 76% said, yes, I'm excited. 24% said, I'm watching, but I'm skeptical. I don't blame them. And this time around, nobody answered in the negative for either negative answer. That's kind of amazing. Okay, so then on Twitter, hardcore Twitter, It's amazing how this is about the same profile. And again, this is my followers. So is it a skewed audience up and down the line? Then I think so. Here you go. I'm in. I'm excited. 74%. I'm watching, but I'm skeptical. 20%. Nope. Picard lost me after season 1 and 2. No. I've been burned. 4%. And I am not watching any new Trek. 2%. So good old hardcore skeptical Twitter, even with the mass migrations to Mastodon or Post or my fake Twitter or whatever the new app of the moment is. Even with all the defections, there's still many skeptics frying their bread practically grease-free in Wesson oil. And that's 312 votes right there. That's as much as an email on my list. So, or more so even. And you know what? It says there's still, well, I don't know. There's still a few hours left to vote if you want to. That's pretty amazing. Between 70, basically 3/4 of everybody on my different accounts, Instagram and their preference there. 3/4 of my audience, anyway, my followers are all thrilled to pieces about Picard. About a fifth to a fourth, or say, well, I'm watching, but you know, I've been taken before. So good on you. Buyer beware, caveat emptor. And only just pieces, just minuscule bits are not watching. What does that tell us? Does that say that the promotions folks, the whole PR campaign has been amazingly successful? Well, it has, but you know, it's easy to sell something when you got a good product. And as I said many times this past week, I don't want to overhype, overgush. I don't want to overpromise, raise the bar too high. We all know that game. That's dangerous territory. But it's getting harder and harder not to. And now that we're just, as you watch this, 2 days away and 3 days away for our global friends, all you guys across the pond, either direction. I mean, you know, the truth will be out. This is all becoming a moot point very quickly. But it's, you know, and we're not even talking about what the residual effect will this be. Will there indeed be a spinoff of some kind? There will not be a 4th season Picard as we know it, although that begs the question, what exactly is or define Star Trek Picard as we know it? Because this, if the first two didn't differentiate in tone and direction, this third one certainly doesn't. And I know a lot of fandom will say amen. But what would a 4th season Picard even be, given that you had all the toys to play with? Well, will there be a spin-off of characters? Maybe. Who knows? I thought I hear things about the next show up in the pipeline, but you know, there are things to happen, things to go. Discovery's got 5 years in. How many more seasons will Discovery run? If this five series a year holds, even if 2 of them remain animated for a while, that's 3 live actions. If they don't pile up more than that, and I think there's a cautious tail, even as the rest of streaming is retrenching, and you're seeing that, and you know, is big TV over? Is big cinema TV? Is big stream retrenching? And you see that with some of the consolidation going on. Cancellations of Netflix and especially, but Prime shows. It seems odd that there would be an expansion beyond the 5. I think the 5 slot is set because that works for Paramount Plus. They want to Trek all year long, and the fact that they're having other hits now is a good thing, Mary. Everything is not depending on Star Trek, which is good. Now, I don't think we're going to get to the point where Star Trek is going to be the way Enterprise became on UPN, say. Somebody's going to look at it as the expensive golden calf that it's time it was trimmed down and played the book like everyone else. From what we can tell, they're all doing exactly what they're asked to do as far as revenue and numbers go. Everybody's holding up their end of the stick, as it were. And right now, this series is certainly doing that, but it's going away in this form and maybe replaced by something, and maybe something in 4 or 5 years, 2 or 3 years, who knows? But here right now, in this moment, in this week, it's an incredible week. Whoever the marketing genius was that picked Valentine's week And here in the US, President's Day weekend was a genius because that's adding to some of the kerfluffle going on. What I meant by this title this week was on top of all the excitement about Picard last week and this week. And I add to that, folks, remember, follow the socials of the creators. The actors are fine, but I'm talking about get on Terry's Instagram and Twitter. Get on Dave Blass's Instagram. Start seeing who's liking their posts. And if it's not a fan friend that you know, it might just very well be somebody from the art staff. I said on the second opinion, I finally got to meet Jeff, the prop master, some of the art directors who work in arts. It was great to see so many of the golden era folk at the premiere. But the double-edged sword of Picard, though, is that yay, it was filmed in LA. A lot of folks were here normally local and got to go to the premiere. Where a trip across, if the studio wasn't underwriting their airfare, if they want a muckety muck, then they wouldn't have been able to do that. But it was good to see them here in LA. But it's over. If there is a spin-off to Picard, it might not, if it doesn't involve Sir Patrick, who is the reason why this was in LA. If it doesn't involve him, the next Picard spin-off, I say that loosely. I'm saying that not knowing there is one, but if there is one, it will likely be shot in Toronto. Part of the reason I wanted to really be able to get to this premiere is because it may be the last one, short of a Star Trek Day celebration, that we may have an organic to LA big studio event for a Star Trek. So that was part of the bittersweetness of this event as well. Hopefully the Star Trek days will be, but I know they feel like sharing time with East Coast for the big events, and New York is close to Toronto, and that's going to be Star Trek HQ, like it or not, for a while. And nothing against Toronto. You're a wonderful city. It's just God meant for Star Trek to be made in LA. That's where it hatched from. From the fertile minds of Gene Roddenberry, Bob Justman, and Dorothy Fontana, and Gene Kuhn, et cetera, Matt Jeffries. What will the future portend? What will the future portend? The future of this week portends that on the virtual side, this week of love, Valentine's Day and Star Trek premiere, just so happened because they time it to President's Day weekend on two fronts. The very live action Gallifrey One convention down at LAX Marriott, which, yes, is a Doctor Who convention, but as Sean told me years ago, Who fans have more than one love. And the biggest number one love after number one to number two is likely to be Star Trek. And especially these days, with so much shipworthiness in Picard going on. That's live this weekend. But on top of that, for 5 days, virtually, is, Virtual TrekCon number 4. 5 days this year. It's going to start Thursday through Monday. So by the time you see this, hopefully you're going to see this where you can still tune in. I've wound up somehow with 1 day live at Galley on Saturday and the other days doing something for Virtual TrekCon. Thursday at noon Pacific, 3 Eastern, my better half Janet and the great Lolita Faggio have a panel that's just about some of the just the everyday, a day in the life of 90s Star Trek, just telling stories, talking about processes, comparing then and now. I've unearthed a lot of photography, some of the tales I've only told to the Portales, some of the things that got said for the Voyager documentary, and if I have my way about it, maybe some new bits. Just go to Virtual TrekCon 4. I'm going to have this on my site as well at larrydembechek.com as soon as we hammer out the virtual, the online details. That's still up a little up in the air, but time-wise, it'll be on somebody's YouTube channel or mine. So where you're watching right now is likely where most of these will be. And it'll be a day long. Every hour, every 90 minutes is going to shift. And there's a lot of programming going on. Just my end of things is noon on Thursday with Lolita and Janet. And then, I have a card for this. And then you don't want to miss this at 11:30 Friday. And yes, I know it's not our good old Saturday time when everybody was off work, no matter where you lived in the world, most folks. This has to be on a Friday, but it's close to our old time. Friday at 11:30 Pacific, 2:30 Eastern. It is, yes, finally, our first special reunion Dr. Ali and Dr. Trek. One of us is a real doctor. A life support live special, the first one since we ended the podcast over a year ago. Not quite a year ago. We've got a theme cooked up. It'll be based on Picard, but across all the seasons. And again, there you go. 11:30 Pacific, 2:30 Eastern, 6:30 GMT. We'll have some more specials too, but this is our first. That's the Friday. Sunday night at 7 Pacific, 10 Eastern. I'll be on the wrap-up panel, the reaction panel for the Lappy Awards, the Live Long and Prosper Awards. Hopefully you had a chance to vote on them last month. There are some standard awards you'd expect, some really silly ones too, and some special faces. They've cooked up another great batch of surprises, and some of the honorees are going to be on hand. That's going to be Sunday afternoon. That's kind of the highlight of as it's evolved. And again, this is Ryan Husk and everybody over at Seventh Rule, Sirach, on down the line. And I know some of them are in the chat probably right now. That's Sunday also. Actually, the fourth day of Virtual TrekCon 4. And then Monday even. And Monday at 1 o'clock Pacific, 4 Eastern, the great Terrace Cassidy and I have got a panel on bits, tips, and tricks for your own Star Trek location hunting and traveling. And we're going to share some stories from our time in the field. Terrace with Geek Nation Tours that I've led the Trek component for over the years. And also my own Trekland Treks, which I'm very excited because in a little over a week, hopefully I can rest up some. And then a week from Thursday, I've got a bunch of the cruisers going on the official cruise the day before they leave, going on a standard away days, which is 4 pre-selected dates. So they're all from all over the country, all over the world, and there's not a veteran among them, a veteran Trekster among them for Trek tours. So I'm excited to take some newbies around and show them the big and the small sites as well. And then another group after they get back. But at least I've got a couple of weeks to rest up. So no, this is going to be kind of an amazing week. This coupled with last week, it's all about Picard, but it's all beyond that even. It's beyond going. Part of this feels like last year was a beta about emerging from the from pandemic and coronavirus lockdown. One thing, the folks at Gallifrey, the live convention here in LA, we're still going to be masked. It's 25 to 3,000 folks at the hotel. They still are worried about COVID and flu season being rampaging because the flu is higher this year because everybody was so masked that there's more unmasked targets out there that's easy prey for just the regular flu virus. So they're insisting on a mask policy for the weekend. So that's another interesting thing here. So we've been lurching out gradually from COVID, but there's still some wintertime reminders of things out there. Even that can come up. Some folks welcome that. Some folks, of course, are chomping at the bit about it, but we'll see what happens. Otherwise, though, this year feels like it's shaping up to finally emerge from the shadows as much as last year was a dress rehearsal, a tech for getting out of that. And hey, I got COVID getting sloppy at Vegas last year, still in August. So mild, of course, to be sure, fully vaxxed and boosted and all of that, but which did the job. But it still shows that anyone that thinks that we had so many people defy medical common sense that it's allowed the virus to be, and maybe it will be just like the flu. But if we'd had a chance to knock out regular flu a century ago, don't you think we should have done it? I think so. I think that corner of the medical establishment would have found something else to focus on that's been working on the flu all this time. Anyway, that's what this cryptic title was all about. It's just an insane week of goodness. And then realizing that today, to talk about it, was overlapping Valentine's Day, which I know means nothing to you watching this a year from now, but right here in the moment, there is just so much Star Trek love, especially with this hype for Picard, especially the cynics and the skeptics among us, keeping a little arm's length there. As long as you go ahead and plunge in and at your safe zone, keep your safe distance, before you decide you've been overtaken. And hey, you all know me. I'm a skeptic till the end. I said over and over again on that second opinion. I don't jump in. When I take simple polls from CVS, I never give anything a 10. If I love something, it's always a 9. I never give anybody a 10. And I haven't seen all of Picard. I'm not going to give it a 10 either. I'll sit here on my 9.5 for a while. I want to see the whole season spin out. But for right now, that's where I am, gang. Where are you? Where are you? Are you falling? Do you and your friends and associates, your online community, kind of fall in with that profile? It's like a 3/4 excited, 1/4, 1/5. I'm watching, but you got to prove it to me. I'm not going to go Google yet. And then 1%, 0% ignoring. Really, is only 2% of Trek fandom ignoring Picard? We'll see. We'll see. There's already a bit of a clue, metric wise, and I'm going to get to that as soon as we come back. But for right now, if you're leaving us, again, thanks for watching on YouTube, but try to join us live sometime, would you please? And wherever you are, everybody, hey, just a quick reminder. First of all, a reminder to thank all of our Patreon folks at, at our TTL club. I call it Trekland Tuesdays Live Club. And that means a big thank you to Diana Hopkins, Robin Wilson, Lawrence Todd, Anne-Marie Siegel, Justin Porteous, Galinda Bruton, Chris Jiggins, Andrew Jasimski, Pranakasha Productions, and Gay Clevin Lundstrom, and our TTL Live Wires. Halbeard Gunn Johnson, Robert McLean, Alan Hohensi, J.R. Poole, Byron Bailey, Dave Gregory, and Casey Shafsky. And remember, you can join them and be a Patreon supporter of me. Very simple, for $5 or $10 a month. They do it at the end of the month. There's still more than enough time to jump in this month. Patreon.com/Trekland Live and get a shout out. And finally, at one point, finally get archive of past interviews with backstage folks. I'm saying this holding my breath, but even as I mention this, I still have everything is set up, and I still have 2 seats that people can join us on the 23rd. The 3rd, actually the 4th, that's gone. February 23rd, there's still 2 seats we've made, but I've got them there. If you want to jump in, you can check it out at LarryNemechek.com and click the link there. And biggest thing of all, we are finishing our 9th season of the Trek Files. This is today drops our season finale, and what great timing. None other than, Star Trek Picard's Terry Matalas joins us to talk about adapting and evolving Star Trek, and we're looking at some, you guessed it, some Roots TNG documents and notes, and we talk about the then and now of the science and the art of taking good care of Star Trek, as the phrase went. You'll see what we mean when you listen. It's the Trek Files at our Facebook page. That's where the document is always. You can find the audio at any good place where podcasts are caught. And, of course, all the Roddenberry podcasts, Mission Log, and Sci-Fi 5 and Fanatics, and all of them are at podcast.roddenberry.com. That's it for this week. Hey, everybody, please, thanks for being with us. Join us if you can live next week. And until then, till Virtual TrekCon, I see you. Maybe I see you live at Gallifrey on Saturday, whatever it is. And if not, next Tuesday here. Trek well, everybody. Stay healthy, do all the things. Stay woke, check your sources. And then you can really Trek well. Live folks, don't go anywhere. Don't go anywhere. I won't push my button if you don't push yours. Okay, the paired analytics. Guess what, kiddos and kidettes? They've actually been updated. Now, again, I'm telling you, we were watching our cheat place to watch. Oh, go away. We were watching our cheat place to watch at a apparently paid venue. Come on. Over at Den of Geek. This time, though, the regular parrots had been updated. Well, they've been updated to February 3rd, which means they're a week behind. But even a week behind on the all digitals, and for those new to following us, this is a company out of New Zealand that's been in the States nearly 10 years. we started following week to week what they said about the streaming only shows, the digital origination shows. Because unlike the good old Nielsen's for the broadcast networks, there's no commercials to set ad rates for. So the digitals don't need to have their numbers out in public. They sit on them because knowledge is power. And Parrot came up with a way to study a metric, come up with an algorithm to look at what they can see online and judge popularity of series. That all 600 of them here in Peak TV. This week, they post the top 10, as always, of the U.S. And they do this in every market, hundreds of markets around the world. The U.S. is posted at their site. It's easy to get to. Anybody can. I'm not getting anything special for this. This week, well, I should say this, the week ending February 3rd, a week ago, before the hype got catastrophic, Star Trek Picard, I'll just tell you, was the number 5 show in the top 10. Their little metric, 33.2 times more popular than an average show. And just to set the frame, the most popular show of the week ending February 3rd was Stranger Things at 56.8 times the average show. That's their little metric they use. So Picard was just outside the top 4/10 of a percent, still well within the outstanding upper 2.5% or 2.7. It was number 5. The top 5 were Stranger Things, Mandalorian, Wednesday, The Witcher, then Picard, Titans, Ted Lasso, Ginny and Georgia, Cobra Kai, and Handmaid's Tale. And just to say, they were 1.6 behind The Witcher and 2 points behind Wednesday. So there was a clump right at 3, 4, 5. And Titans 3 points back from that. Now, in the top 10, oh, not only that, the press release with that, Picard got a whole second paragraph. Parrots never writes anything about a Star Trek series. That's it. That's almost a metric to me in itself. That's only if you actually look at the write-ups and not just the graph, their numbers. Again, these are not actual viewer numbers. If you're new to watching here, they're scouring the internet to try to look at fan postings, critical postings, studio promotion, see what the buzz is, all kinds of, whether it's images or reactions or original posts or retweets, and yeah, even criticism. Okay, it's basically a glorified buzz, but there you go. They call it demand. They're measuring the average demand expression, average daily expression, and doing it week by week. On the overalls, which is broadcast and digital, it's kind of the same thing. SpongeBob is still number 1 with 76. Nothing's been over 100 in ages. Saturday Night Live, Game of Thrones, Walking Dead, then Stranger Things there, the only digital that's on the overall chart. The Simpsons, My Hero Academia, Rick and Morty, despite the scandal, South Park, and Breaking Bad, or because of it mainly. So the top 10 overall there was 46, and our number 2 show was just a point below that. So Picard, as does the Star Trek live actions, is in the top 10. It's doing very well. But this is 2 weeks ago. Now, a clue to what has happened since is if we go to the Picard page and look to see what's going on, then we can see the spike is climbing. That number overall, the key number there, the key number for that start for Picard 2 weeks ago was 33.2. What's it done since? It's only spiked. So checking out Geek Den, who I think are paying for Patrick. So right now, the 23, it's up to it's at 20, it's at 28 and trending. It's up, it's spiking 29%. Now the write-up this week said that week Picard had spiked 41% from the week before to number 1. They're pointing out the football commercials having done a lot of that good, that lot of heavy lifting. I mean, if you want to see the trend line, there you go. See the end here. Boom. This is saying up 20% over the 30-day period, which is factoring in the 41. And those hard numbers are from 2 weeks ago. There's no way to see exactly what the current number is. The peak demand now is at 33. Yeah. But the bottom line here is, to the muddled picture of, now that they're spreading it around and selling a little bit here and a little bit there and giving some of it away, but Parrot is basically saying the demand as they measure it for Picard is spiking. Does that resonate with you? That's the thing we're getting out of the Parrots as much as we can see. I think I've think I've, yeah. I mean, what's it like in your circle? Do you have your hardcore Trek friends and your Trek adjacent friends? What's happening there? We'll get into that and see. I hope I haven't lost anybody. I am back scrolling now. Let's see what's in the chat and see how everybody's doing. And if you are new, I'll try to call you out. If you're new to Tuesdays Live or anything Trekland in my circle, I'm glad you're with us and staying on. And oh, I see there's Daniel CO for the first time in a while. Good to see you, sir. And yes, Katie. Oh my gosh. Katie, it was great to meet you, but oh, what a horrific evening you had after that. Her rental car was tail-ended and she was pushed into traffic, and I don't know if you want me to get into all that, but I hope you're on the mend, Katie, and had to take a day or two before traveling. I hope you're back home and all's good. But oh my gosh, what a I'm just glad things turned out well for you that way. And it's a horrible way to say welcome to LA. I hope your memories from the premiere will at least equal the scary time you had there. But thank you for jumping in today. It's good to see you. Good to hear from you. Yeah, we got everybody. Everybody's here across the ponds. And Cairo coming to us from Vienna. Looking forward to Thursday for VTC and Friday for watching the Next Generation. The Next Generation Season 8, which has nothing to do with Mike McMahon's book. Maybe this is Next Generation Season 9 or 10 or whatever. Well, thank you, Daniel. It felt like it was forever before we finally got it out, but I told the guys, I told Scott and Kyle that until Picard actually dropped, everything is fresh. So there we go. And yes, I'm chiming in with you, Dave, on this. Amen to that. Amen to that. I know, Melanie, we had some a little bit of tech issue catch up here to do, but we're here. And hey, Matt, good to see you over on Twitch. Yay. Yes, everybody's in your fan club, Katie. Everybody's rooting for you. See? You gotta. Well, Melanie, I guess if I'm competing with a good Yahtzee game, then I'm doing my job. Okay, yay. It's okay, Matt. It's okay. You can be old school on Facebook all the way back to 07. 15 years, 16 years now. Yikes. Aha. What are you saying here, Daniel? Only question you've got, avoiding spoilers, is there an appearance of the USS Possum captained by Captain Red Green? Not that I've seen so far, but then, it might just be laying low. Okay. See, here you go, Matt. Wow, man, it's good to see you. So much has been made of Picard Season 3 in canon. How do you feel it respects the canon of the 24th century shows? Oh, it's fine. They're all, I mean, by the time you've got Prodigy and Lower Decks threading the needle on canon. No. Here's the thing. You might not agree with something that Terry and the gang. I was looking back through even little drop, and I'm looking forward to sitting down with him and running through my list. But and that might not be a public event. That might be an old school. We sit down and have a couple of hours talk. That's not meant for broadcast. It's meant for use. But even finding what's available online, sitting down and talking about some of the choices they made, but they weren't blind choices, and some of them are pure canonista. I mean, deep down, 90% of the world doesn't care, but the 10% do, and they'll raise Billy Ned about it if they don't like it. That kind of decision, like the evolution of the Titan A and what happened to the main Titan, Riker's Titan, all that, they've already back backsource that. They've already retconned it in their head. And even though it's not part of the flow of the shows, I think 98% of anything anybody's going to ask about has already been anticipated. And not just defensively, like, oh, they're going to ask us about this. It's like, no, it was like part of the fabric of stitching together the backstory of the season. It was taken into account. You know, it's kind of the proactive version of texture, not trivia. It's when the creatives do it up front as a strength because they're with it enough. If you listen to the Trek Files today, I talked to Terry about this thing of, does being a Trek fan need to be a job requirement to work on Star Trek, especially in the writer's room? The art room, art, visual effects, or especially the writer's room, because it germinates from there. And we had an interesting discussion about that on today's Trek Files. So everybody go check it out. I had no quibbles and qualms. No. The Chinese theater is fun. It's Sid Grauman's Chinese. You know, the Chinese and the Egyptian are the only two standing of the 4 or 5 theme theaters that he built in the 20s. And different chains have owned it. Obviously, he died. And it was Mann's Theaters chain had it. And today it's the Initials chain. I never can remember what it is. But I still call it Grauman's Chinese. Let's see. Hey, Matthew, what are you saying here? Nathaniel Robinson. Please, everyone, to throw support behind Jessie Gender. She's being attacked quite vigorously for activism against the transphobia and racism in Hogwarts Legacy. She has been a big supporter of new Star Trek. Absolutely. And it was great to see Jessie there last week, Thursday night, too. Thank you for that, Nathaniel. Hi, Mona. Glad you could make it over with us. Yes. You know what? I never stopped to think where Jessie is, but she's Seattle too. All right. See, Jessie rose after I stopped going to Emerald City every year in the early teens. I went 4 or 5 years in a row up there. Was hosted, guested. What's Twitch? Very funny, Christoph. He says from Twitch. There you go. Many more countries in Europe did get Strange today, and some other new Trek today with Sky Showtime. There we go. It's gradually getting there. Star Trek is going to take over the world again. It can be the 70s again. Let us thread our needles by the river. Okay, you got me there, Matt. I hate to admit it, but you do again. Okay. Hi, May. Gonna see you soon, I think. Okay, Galen. You have read some comments that even if Picard season 3, as long as Alex Kurtzman was involved, it was bad regardless. It doesn't make sense to me. Well, here's the thing. Alex doesn't sit down. Alex gets things launched. In this case, he helped hire Terry into the mix. Terry wanted to make this season together. 2 and 3 were back to back. So he gave up working actively on 2 to put all in on 3 because it had to be ready the day. You've heard them talk about that. They finished filming on Friday, didn't take a week off. They turned right around and were talking on 3 on Monday filming. Dave Blass was telling me what that was like. So, and we'll get into that. That will hopefully come up as things go along. And the next time I have Dave in public, it's something. So these people that can't, it's like they can't think everything is black and white. They have no idea of how Hollywood works. The whole point is once after you get going, you only step in, as Alex did at the beginning of season 2 on Discovery. You only step in when there's a crisis or something needs you. Otherwise, you're busy up here at the executive level and letting all the hands-on people run things. And sure, your hand is in on broad strokes, but after you get running, the day-to-day nitty-gritty. I mean, my God, if nothing else, look at what the difference between Dave Blass and very skilled predecessors, but look at the extra level of TLC Dave Blass brought to that, including, and in line with Terry, having a lot of our golden age art folks working in art, and you can tell what a difference it makes. No one's trying to reinvent the wheel. They're just updating the wheel. And now it's transcended from art and visuals to story itself, if that makes any sense. So yeah, these people, they don't deal in the world of gray and spectrum. They only have this weird it's they don't know how Hollywood works, or how any corporation would, how any team would work actually. So a little weird. So, but I have read there's one or two wacky reviews out there that are just, they watched the same 6 episodes and went totally negative. And I don't, you'll see they're the 1 or 2% that's out there out of the vast majority on some spectrum that really, really, really enjoyed. And at least we'll say, don't judge season 3 by 1 and 2. It's a welcome reset of tone. And by the end of the season, it'll be like Enterprise. People will say, why do you cancel it now? Although this was not canceled, it was self-planned to be 3 seasons per Pat Stewart. What are you saying here, Michael? Your opinions are towards anticipatory excitement for Picard 3. Don't ever trust actors raving about this. Absolutely, because they always want to rave about it. What you have to do is go down and look at the subtextual people. Yeah, and sometimes it's about the amount. Everyone wants to rave a little bit, but if they're raving 5 times more than usual, there you go. Hey, Gay, you've read some comments that even if Picard season 3 was the best thing ever, as long as Alex Kurtzman was involved. Oh, I guess we skipped you. What are you saying here? Back to Matt. It's easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than for a rich man to enter into the kingdom of God. Thank you. I didn't realize. Oh, that okay. I didn't know thread the needle was part of that quote, but there we go. Those folks fail at Star Trek harder than they think Kurtzman does. Well, yeah. And half of the people saying that are people that you don't know their real name. So go figure that. Good evening, Duralta. Okay. Mona, well, thank you. So everybody, what I told you for the Twitter poll, add 1. Okay. Add a half a point. Well, Justin, we'll try to overlook it this time. Just this once. We won't revoke your Patreon card yet. Geralto, you are cautiously optimistic. Hey, you know what? I'm not going to force feed anybody to think anything at this point. Proof's in the pudding. I sure don't have to do. I'm sure not getting paid to go promote this thing. I'm not a shill. Don't be shocked, folks. I just want to know what the shill budget is. I got free popcorn and Coke the other night at the premiere. Is that what my okay, and some free drinks at the after party. And some penne alla vodka. Penne alla vodka. If none of the main crew dies, you're happy and excited. Well, there's that. There have been some hints about not everybody makes it out. We will see. We will see. Good to see you, Michael. Yay. I know, Linda. This is what I meant during the 7-week hiatus. I said we've been whipsawed here with being spoiled. Oh. They go, I know. Did I? Well, I always go biblical on Valentine's Day. That's just in my DNA. No, it's not. Whatever. I'm the last person you expect to go biblical, but there you go. It's a cultural thing, if nothing else. Duralta, Stargate SG-1 managed to be relevant and being aired for 10 seasons. I know. Maybe Trek could do something like that, but you're already happy if Disco gets 7 years. Well, good. Good for you. I'm glad you enjoy it that much. Yeah, that's the truth. Definitely love to see a spinoff run by Terry with Dave reprising his role on staff as well. Well, who wouldn't? Come on. I'm thinking that if the network, and this was pre-remerger time, but if the powers that be could react to the Anson Mount wave of popularity, of love, that was grassroots and just sprung up organically in reaction to a good thing, if they could react to that, I would hope that this phenomenon would become a thing as well. I would hope. And you heard me say, oh, Project Ashiva. Am I pronouncing that right? Welcome to Tuesdays, especially from YouTube, unless this is your YouTube code phrase. If indeed Project Ashiva is your real handle name. And you know I meant, I love Toronto. Nothing against Toronto. I'm just talking about you stole our Star Trek. Dadgummit. Only because of Brian. Only because of Brian. But the fact that Star Trek, that a series of its scope would cost 5 times more to shoot in LA than in Toronto, I get it. I'm just not happy about it. But that's symptomatic of a lot of other things in the industry. Okay, Glenn, good to see you, sir. Oh, okay. Well, you're here for a chunk of it. Yay. There you go. See? Your Trek Club in Vienna is very good friends with your local Doctor Who fan club as well. And I bet you've got some overlapping members. Doug, Drexler doesn't consider Discovery to be Prime Universe, but he does consider Picard to be Prime. Well, yeah. And there you go. Boom. There's the virtual TrekCon 4 schedule. I knew somebody would be doing it. Okay. I see something starting off with, I'm sorry, but having trouble feeling excited about season 3. That's totally fair, Nathaniel. Of course, you felt burned by the way the immigration plot fizzled in season 2. I remember you talking about that. I was I didn't feel burned, but then I wasn't coming at it like a lot of folks like you would be coming at it. I remember in the moment thinking, what, that was just as a story element, what they raised that and then it just goes away. That was part of the padding for 10 episodes. Even so, Picard's, and it was a point made and dramatized in a Star Trek, which means that will be around forever now. So even so, Picard 3 looks as its tone predicated on nostalgia from the previews. Almost nothing of what made the series unique is present, and the difficult questions that seemed would be tackled have been pushed far to the side. Let's wait. Let's wait and see what's going on there. Because Beverly and her associate were out doing missions, and those are kind of core to what still hasn't even been revealed to the folks with the 6 episodes. Okay? So hang in there. Hang in there. February 17th, it's a date Friday, the day after Picard season 3's first episode. I missed your setup to this, Melanie, but okay. Yay, love for the Lappies, the Live Long and Prosper Awards, which will all be announced on the Sunday afternoon Pacific time. And I know Anne-Marie is very involved with that. And Dr. Anne-Marie, you were there at the preview in New York last night, too. It's nice to have, thank you, Christian. It's nice to have an embarrassment of riches in Trek right now, especially virtual options. Again, like some of you were with me in February and March of 2020 before the lockdown. And I said, what we're doing here is going to be the savior of fandom and so much of the rest of society during this. Hey, Narda from the Outback, our Aussie this morning, as always, or today. Looking forward. Have some brilliant Trek and wonderful nostalgia. It's going to be a great Trek ride. Yeah, but this is more than nostalgia. The new characters have their bits to play. And Todd Stashwick, who I didn't realize until a couple of days ago, was a huge nerd fan, huge gamer. He's now done a video interview where he looks around his game room and his D&D stuff is sitting out. He's a game writer as much as an actor, and was geeking out the whole time. Of course, had worked with Terry on 12 Monkeys, was one of his leads there. So there's more than just nostalgia going on. The new characters have really strong bits to play. Nobody's a red herring and nobody's a bit player. A lot of the guest cast get moments to add them to the Trek canon. They're not just superfluous. We need people to sit in chairs. Oh, my goodness, Mona. See, there you go. The flu going around is no fun. You were down for 4 days. I'm so sorry to hear that, but you're back. Star Trek is the greatest Valentine of all. Well, it is this week, don't you think? Don't you think? Row of hearts, Anne Marie. Um, what are you saying here, Michael? You have to wear a mask because you're immunocompromised. Was made so due to a rare reaction to the COVID vaccine. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh my God, gave you rheumatoid arthritis. See, this is what it's like. The science smarts of everybody went out of the window. It's like everybody fell asleep in 7th grade science. Yeah, we're not Stepford fandom, and we're not Stepford disease carrying patients. There are one off, just as you have a woman gets pregnant and might have one very rare thing that complicates her pregnancy that's not often seen. But we are billions of people in this earth, and we have genetic structures that are big enough to have infinite diversity. So you are smart enough to know, unfortunately, you had that kind of a reaction, which was scary, but you were not the bulk. You and your small percentage, while of course of care to you and concern to you, is not a concern for. I mean, if there was a needs of the many and the needs of the few, hopefully we're talking about black and white mortality. And very glad you're with us. Um, Sorry for your reaction. I hope it's something that can pass eventually. But you're exactly why we do what we do. And some people just lose track of all sense of scale. Hi, Mike. Picard season 3, benign and a half. Are you saying that Picard season is benign, not malignant? Are you being funny with 9 and a half, benign? Okay. I'm sure you'll tell me if I ask. Oh, thank you, Kyle. Kyle is in chat, and there's the link for the second opinion that we dropped. Was it last night or the night before? It's all running together to me. But there you go, gang. If you haven't seen it yet, please go over and watch and drop a comment if you want to. It's on the YouTube channel. Only YouTube, by the way. Glenn, I do not blame you a bit. You're trying not to get too hyped, so you don't want to raise the bar too high and be let down. Exactly. I totally get it. Can I count you in the 20-24%? I think so. I totally get it. Totally get it. And you know what? I haven't seen the last half of the season yet. And it should be more than just pure nostalgia. And I've seen some critics raise that. But to me, one of the reviewers, and I wish I'd put it this way, said that it was the equal parts of what you want. It's in measure. Nothing out. You want adventure. You want character moments. You want great canon and ship porn. And you want the nostalgia, but nothing outweighs anything else. It's all a mix. I kind of said that in my wrap up that I echoed here. Whether you're a shipper or a ship pornist, or a commentariat or a canonista, it's going to be, there's something for you in the year. Well, this is my point, Duralta. We should have tried to knock out the flu, and we should have tried to knock out corona and mass, but no, people yell. They didn't want that. Well, that's because we have, people can't see beyond the end of their nose, and they are the ones that slept through 7th grade life science. We have the funky birds again. I know. A little bit of an update, a week-old update. How about that? And happy birthday to Andrew Richardson. Dude is 80. I definitely think so. The ad in the football game helped get. Yeah, and then they had the mountain ads in the Super Bowl with Anson, and she didn't say. Well, she had one line. Beckett Mariner in the back of the Paramount, the stupid Return to Paramount Mountain. Anson had a really funny one where he's with what's his name from Reno 911. And I said, I thought what happens on the mountain stays on the mountain, with mountain capitalized. So sure, Cairo, I think it never hurts. I think so. It's good to be represented. It's like the chairs at the big boy table for Comic-Con I always talk about. Yes, I do, to answer your question. Your average daily demand for demanding Picard season 3 should release right now today. Touche, Michael. Touche. Were there any Paramount commercial Super Bowl. We don't get those. Yeah, there was the Paramount Mountain commercial. Jenny finally made it to Alive. Hello. There you are. Thanks. And you're on Facebook. Very cool. Very cool. I didn't know this was a thing. I didn't realize it was a thing for you, but I'm glad you did. Yay, yay. What's the occasion? You're off work today? I hope you're not sick and all that kind of stuff. But thank you for joining us. Good to have you here. Mona, your in-person friends don't watch Trek, only your online friends. Well, Mona, maybe it's time to get some new in-person friends. Nah, it depends on where you are. I know. But you never underestimate the power of Trek. If you're of that vibe with the people you never know when somebody else in the closet is going to turn up in your circle. I've been so shocked when I finally talk about Star Trek in business circles, and I always think I have to tamper it down and lower my expectations. I always find out someone is either a closet Trekker, or their kid or their mom or dad or uncle or aunt or somebody in their family close circle is a Trek fan. So don't underestimate. Of course, depending on where you're living in the culture at large, but don't underestimate. I forget what city you're in, Mona. Yeah. And okay, we're back to the beginning of the scroll. Thank you. I love how everybody jumps up to do this. And there you go, Jenny. I told you we have a great group here. There you go. Hi, May. Looking forward to when I'm at Gallifrey 1. Can you please give a shout out for people to visit Bill Blair's table? He's been in a lot of Star Trek, yes, and even got a Guinness World Record in 2014 for the most special effects characters. He mentioned not many people visiting last con. Thank you. Well, when you wear masks all the time, that's a casualty of that. So yes. I love Bill. I've known him for at least 15 something years. We should have him on Portal 47 sometime. He's got some great visuals and some great photos. So of course, nice point. Speaking of meteorology, shout out to Katie. It's raining in Modesto. Mostly it's been sunny all week, 50s and 60s. Now it's wet and kind of cold. This has been the coldest and wettest SoCal winter in ages. And that's a good thing, fighting the drought. But it's just been colder than normal. Sustained. We have spikes of cold, but it's like days and days of clouds and cold. It's been really interesting. Well, there you go, Jenny. You've been officially welcomed by Duralta, so I can't top that. And hi, Donnie. I know you've been with us before, Donnie, but good to see you and coming in on YouTube. Yeah, well, and that's been a couple of days ago, but yes, I do indeed know the way to San Jose. One of my favorite moments from a game show ever was an old game show on ABC when I was a kid, and I was probably staying home sick if it wasn't in summer. But it was called Split Second, and they were in their final round, and they had like everything was in threes on a board, and people if you got the first one that you guessed right, you could go on the second one, and it was called Split Second because you had to be fast. And a guy was about to win everything, and it was like fill in the blank of these song titles, and the one that he would have won with was "Do You Know the Way?" And he knew what it was, but he was going, so how do you not know that? Especially in the 70s, 80s. And he was saying it so fast, he said, "Do you know the way to Santa Fe?" instead of San Jose, which was a Burt Bacharach song. Sorry, that was the reason for that whole line. And they had to say no, and he lost all his money, and somebody else won. And I was like, wow, you misspeak and you lost all your money. You lost your chance at the car. Yeah. There you go. Don't see. My thing is, don't ever give up looking for your local in-person Trek fans. You'll be a surprise. And even if you're in another country, it may be a tougher road, but you never know. You can be subtle about it. You can wear a pin, something subtle. That's why I love the subtle t-shirts and subtle jewelry for. If you know, you know, but it's not screaming at the outside world. You'd be amazed how many people how many grocery checkers commented the year or two I wore that STID phone cover when I was needing a phone cover, and I just never got around to buying a new one. And I was using a cheapy freebie promo one for Star Trek Into Darkness, and people would say, "Oh, Star Trek," and I'm like, "No, don't look at this. Don't look at this." Okay. I'm glad we had. I'm glad we brought people together in our chat stream today. That always happens. Okay, an actual Trek comment here. Hey, Michael, if the warp theorists don't find you handsome, they should at least find you handy with a coil spanner. Did I miss the setup for this? I think. Well, this is good. Gosh, Donnie, you're like what I always thought a Star Trek fan would do. You don't judge those who dislike modern Trek, including Picard and your number one current Star Trek show, Prodigy. Oh, good Aaron. And the Hagemans and everybody else would love to hear that. Yes. And Miss Kate would love to hear that too. Christian, you're excited for Picard too. Tried to avoid the spoilers to going cold like when you saw Farpoint. Well, that's a bridge, Christian. How did you avoid the spoilers in 87? They were actually there, even in a pre-internet world. It's hard not to do remember the 10, the 9. Well, those were just a countdown. But Entertainment Tonight was full of it, boy. Right now, the only modern Trek show you don't like is Lower Decks. You need to watch Prodigy, but Disco and Picard's quite good and okay. Well, there you go. See, Duralta, you love Disco and Picard, and Prodigy, but you don't care for Lower Decks. There you go. Maybe the culture humor is a little too quick for some foreign sensibilities, non-American sensibilities, I should say. Hey, Matt. Makes sense. Felt like they did that more for the season than the other two seasons of Picard. Not sure what we're referencing here. I think I know, but feels like it's so much better and you've not seen anything but the trailers and read interviews. Well, there you go. Typical fan, and that's the idea they want to generate with those interviews and with that. Okay. Thank you, Glenn. The new chain is TCL. Yeah. They did a little too much TCL. Cute. Well, Uncle Steve. Yeah, I got a haircut like 2 weeks ago. Yes. And your avatar is looking good too, Steve. Yes, Mr. Myers is right. Dead right. Okay. It's good to see you, man. Thank you for bopping in. Melanie, chronologically speaking, if the Picard series is 25 years beyond Next Gen's time and Q made an appearance, then where is the anomaly that Picard faced in 3 different timelines? It's due to appear right about now. You talking about from All Good Things? You talking about that? Well, it was all fake. The future was fake future, if you're talking about All Good Things. The other 2 were alternate timelines of present and past. Here's the thing about Q time. We always worry so much about temporal mechanics and butterfly effects and resetting the timeline and all that. If it's Q doing it, Q is the closest thing Star Trek has to magic. That's why Picard season 2 it didn't matter. Didn't matter at the very end. Well, wait, what? Well, Cristobal is not on. Rios isn't on the Serena, and what's going? What? It's like it didn't matter. Q just does what Q wants to do. Q's gone now. That Q is. There's other Q out there. Q is magic. A Q flash is just magic. He can material. It's like the Q version of programmable matter. You can do whatever the hell you want to do. So whatever you need to have happen story-wise in your dramatic plotting, it happens. So if your sentence involves the entity Q, then whatever it is can happen. Now they have to have some kind of logic flow to it. But we get down to the nitty-gritty on the temporal loops and the quantum mechanics as people were starting to tie themselves into knots. at the end of Picard season 2, where it's good. It's just Q. Same thing with the Orb of Time, I think. But that's the orb. But Picard series is this year is 2502. 2501. Yes. Well, that's very equal opportunity of you, Michael. Anyone should be able to work on Trek. I wasn't trying to be Trekist. I wasn't trying to be a genreist there. I'm just saying it helps. It helps. Why go through the growing pains of teaching someone when, anyway, I'm. Yes, that's the place. It's, as my wife calls it, the forecourt is the hand and foot theater where you do things in concrete paint. Yes. Yes, Jessie is awesome. So whatever anybody can do to go over and support her, I think you obviously should, and I will do my bit too. I just like, good Lord, folks, it's Star Trek. Well, thank you for that insight, Glenn. I have no Shades of Grey is just horrible, and I have no nuance about it at all. You believe, Michael, but don't quote you, that the anti-time anomaly was prevented from happening, and Picard's knowledge of the future may have altered it. Troy didn't die. Well, that's, yeah. Although, in the fake future of that episode, LaForge's kids are named Sydney and Alondra, and that's the name of his two daughters. I'm not breaking news here. This has been out there. I thought it was very interesting that the two girls' names are the two girls that he has in this, and they didn't have to do that because it was a fake future. As much as what I want to know is who is his wife. If his wife is Leah, like Leah Brahms, if that's his wife's name, it probably happened in some quantum reality, just not this one. There you go. I don't blame you, Christoph. Good try, though. Can't do temporal mechanics on a weekday at midnight. So thank you for staying up late. And yes, Guten Abend, as Melanie has there. Yeah. Free. What is wrong with free and virtual pop culture conventions? Thank you, pandemic. Oh, you beat me to it. Yeah, except we said this a few weeks ago, too. I noticed that. But there you go. At least the two daughters, anyway. If there's a death, you vote for lore. Why, sure, let's just keep wiping out the Soongs. Let's just keep mowing them down. Sure. Absolutely. Hey, you would love the opportunity of making money talking, shilling about stuff you love. You're happily shilling. A halfpence and a shilling. You're glad that we have 5 treks now, but you wish they were more spaced out, best of all worlds, so we would always have a new trek to watch with no drought. Yeah, except that they've got it down to 7. This was 7 weeks was kind of an anomaly over the last couple of years. Last year, we finally got a break, and people were a little bit relieved for it. But yes. Beggars can't be choosers. First world problems, hashtag, completely. Stargate did jump the shark after season 8. Yep. That's when they started calling it Sharkgate, with the entire Ordal story. You were waiting for me to butcher your username. Well, it's Project Achieva, like achievement, achieve. Is that what it is? But I'm so glad I could brighten your day. Let's see. Star Trek Toronto series using some of the old sets from The Expanse. Oh, I hadn't got into The Expanse enough to know that, but okay, sure, fine. Sure, fine, do that. Oh, well, there you go. Tomorrow is Canada's National Flag Day. It's our June 14th. Very good. Something you'd like to see is Naomi Wildman and Molly O'Brien coming back as kick-ass bounty hunters. Naomi Wildman? That'd be interesting. Okay, Glenn. From your lips to the great bird's ears. There you go. Concerning not everyone staying alive, Dor Alta, there's a handful of characters that you're being pissed if they get killed. Jean-Luc, Riker, Troy, Beverly. I think you have a big club with you on that one. Yeah. Melanie, did I say there was a special Trek chat on Friday with Dr. Ellie? Did we misread it? No. It's part of Virtual TrekCon, 11:30 Pacific. Measure that in your years. 11:30 Pacific and 2:30 Eastern. Right here on this Trekland channel. Boom, there you go. See? We always did Virtual TrekCon, but in the past, when they would have their Saturday, we would just do live support live and say, and they would just have us on when we'd be doing the normal 10 to noon show. 10 to noon Pacific show. 2 hours. Of course, the last half hour was totally back and forth with our lifers. So yeah, please spread the word. It'll be on the socials and everything as well. If so, it's a date. Yeah, just remember it's on Friday, not old school Saturday. So it's on the Friday. That's the only downer about it. And a little early, actually a little late, but 11:30 still. Worf could have his warrior's death with a cameo of Terry as Jadzia. That'd be amazing. Yeah. Yeah. Yep. You don't think Picard 3 would work if it was just nostalgia? We need something to make it have that extra oomph. If it's just nostalgic, you'd lose interest. Mona, couldn't agree more. I think the world couldn't agree more. Nobody wants that would get old. And one show is cool, but 10 episodes of nostalgia porn would just, There's a cute word someone's come up for that, better than nostalgia porn. Yes, May. It was great to see you too at the Picard premiere. It was amazing. Give it a 10 plus. There you go. Well, you go ahead and gush if you want. No, a lot of folks were at their very first premiere, their first big Star Trek live event, and I was very tickled for all the folks that were able to get in and do that. And good on, as I said in that second opinion, good on the studio for maturing enough and people settling into their jobs with all the new hires. I'm glad it's not on the backs of 3 or 4 people to get everything from social media to events to promotion to canon brand awareness into everything. It's just going to be, it was just a tricky ride there. And it still is. Get back to me when Star Trek 4 on big screen actually finally happens in whatever form it was. But good to see you too, May, and looking forward to seeing you again. Okay. Christoph, a vote against excessive time travel. Me too. I think the story, I said this in second opinion too, the story structure has flashbacks, which, is old school time travel. You don't actually go their point of view. The audience sees the time travel, but not the characters. Completing a story arc for characters that deserve a proper send-off like the TOS crew did in TUC. There you go. Exactly, Matt. Exactly. Molly and Naomi working with Captain Braxton. Well, they would be in their own time, and Braxton would be from the 25th century. Well, that's the temporal accords enforcement, but maybe you were thinking of temporal, like Dumbler and Luxley, temporal investigations, DTI. Even if a new show is not the best Trek you'll always watch. Well, what are you, Linda? Some kind of fan or something? I You're proud of your relative scientific literacy. Well, I used to think most people were kind of there, especially if you found your way to Star Trek and nerddom. You were kind of a science leaning, or at least open to learning what you didn't know. Well, that would be kind of weird and shimmery. Interesting, but there you go. Apparently, we have a very big. I didn't know, Cairo, that you were such a big Molly O'Brien fan, but there you go. There you go. You finally found the Twitter poll. It was way down from the top of the page, as you said. You're in that 20%. There you go. There you go. Andy Robinson turns 81 today. Oh my gosh, I need to do a. Wow, what a great guy. And came and talked to the Portales 2 or 3. The pre-pandemic Vegas. Andy came to our live dive, our Portal 47 live meetup, and talked to everybody for a while. He was on his way to the airport, but he came by and stayed a few minutes. I've got pictures somewhere. Andy's awesome. Andy and his wife, Irene. He's put in his fair amount of fanishness. Hello, Jenny. You're listening while you paint tonight. Well, glad we could keep you company. The power of the Trek. Words to live by. I guess you mean something I said. Yay. Okay, well, I'm watching Christoph and Der Alta map out the whole Worf dies gloriously in battles and finds Jadzia and Stovokor thing. Narda, you say you watch all new Trek. Not all of it's to your taste, but you feel like you need to watch it so you can make an informed decision. Right. All of it has something to love, even if it's not all to your taste. You can love all the Trek all the time. You can love all the Trek some of the time. You can love some of the Trek all the time. And maybe you can love all the Trek all the time. Apparently, you get Strange in Germany in May on Blu-ray. Well, good. Mona, you're in Noblesville, Indiana. Okay, you're online a lot in several groups and writing and Trek fans. Check meeting, but no Trek groups near me. At least I have Starbase Indy once a year. Wow, it feels like you should be able to harness Starbase Indy and things around you. I'm just wondering if there's some science group or writing group or science fiction like writers groups or something around you where you'd find at least a 30% Trek fan or something. It just seems odd in this day and age, no matter how small your town is, but within, a 30-minute drive or something anymore. Very funny, Christoph, very funny. Although, I would, if Jenny was painting a portrait of me, I'm sure it would be Trekkerific. I'm thinking Bill Blair has probably made a film with everybody by now. Okay. See, here's the thing. Even if you don't absolutely love all Star Trek 100%, you have to love something enough to nitpick it. The worst thing of all is if you don't care. And that's what the secret that Star Trek has over so much else. Do you know how many producers, creators would love to have people pay enough attention to what they do and try to put out in the world to even nitpick it? I mean, they'd like to love. Just to have people paying attention is kind of amazing. There you go, Christoph. Bears repeating. Sure. Paramount Plus has Picard 3 almost globally, and we'll get Lower Decks and Picard 1 and 2 soon. Bye-bye Prime, canceled. The only reason you were taking Amazon Prime was to catch your Trek. So there you go. See, everybody around the world has their own situation when it comes to Trek. That's why I love our global community here, keeping us all up to date with what's happening there. Let's see. Some Red Green fans in the chat. This is obviously something that I'm not up on. Okay. I'm with you, Doralta. Who's red green? This is a comic red green, right? Okay, is this a Canadian thing? Hey, Donnie, glad you could drop by. Thank you for that. Glenn, Lower Decks is definitely an acquired taste. Yeah, the first two are a little wobbly, but it didn't settle down pretty strongly. Okay, thank you for clarifying this for the non-America's version here. They're going to share Picard and Lower Decks, which were the original two global Amazon Prime Treks. Oh, and Jenny, you're getting some love here. There you go. Not a fan of big gross out humor. You know what? The gross out humor gets tapped down very quickly after about, as someone just mentioned, after about a couple of episodes. Okay. Q is Star Trek's version of Puck from Midsummer Night's Dream. Yeah, a lot of cultures have the jokester. A lot of them Native American. I've seen Will Rogers called the Cherokees version of the jokester of mythology. Trekist. I'm so sorry, Glenn. I'm so sorry. Let's see. What are we doing here? Okay, well, there we go. We've got the whole German line up there. You hope it's Leah, as in Leah Brahms. We need some Geordie redemption. Well, LeVar wanted some Geordie LeVar. If you catch Terry talking with me on the Trek Files, he talks about a conversation he had with Geordie about the cleaning up the problematic aspects of what they did to Geordie in the early Next Gen years after the first season. I'm not sure, Mona. We'll see. Not that I've found so far, but who knows? Well, I totally agree, Susan. This was their corporate goal, I'm sure, but they're dealing with contracts and get rich quick bits right now. A question. Stingray, I can always count on you. What do I think of the gossip that Paramount Plus is slow to announce any new Trek show due to Wall Street dawdling investment in streaming, or CW changing program tune that could kill Trek Academy rumor? I hadn't dipped myself into that gossip, but I will dip in and see what's happening. Not having a fifth show once Picard passes would leave a fifth of the year gaping, which doesn't seem like that would fit their business model. Or the CW changing that would, well, we'll see. I haven't dived into either one of those, but I will keep my ear to the ground. And I will be, anybody that's reporting on those, I'm going to be curious to see what their lineage is. What's their DNA? Okay, maybe Jake is working with Molly and Naomi as a journalist. Maybe. Yeah, the bottom line to all this jockeying in the foreign markets is the Trek shorts are still not in all markets outside the US, which is just strange. You're only talking about 15-minute, 3 or 4 15-minute or 4 quarter-hour bits, but still it's weird. It is weird. I wonder if there's some weird international checkbox on rights or royalties or something. It's becoming a pain. Hey Willie, good to see you. Glad you could get in at least a little bit. Oh, okay. You're a bigger Hannah fan than you are a Molly O'Brien fan. Okay, then. You're assuming that Hannah would play Molly. Okay. Ah. Just don't keep him for 4 hours, Matt. Just like you're a bigger fan of Tracy Lee Coco than of Lieutenant J. There you go. This is true in reality. She was one of those child actors who did it because the mom said to. Which is where this whole line of conversation is going. So there you go. Susan, no, I didn't. And I feel bad about that. I had plans. I had prepping to do for this next week. I was recovering, not just recovering, but processing and having to put content out from the premiere on Thursday. It was really, I want to smack the guys. It was really bad timing. Otherwise, I would have loved to have gone. Their readings, and I haven't heard anything. I haven't dived in to hear anything about it. I've really been kind of up to my eyeballs, actually. I finally got a chunk of my office behind. You won't know it, but I've got a chunk of this sorted and cleaned out, and came up with some bits all across all the Trekland properties. Okay. You may need to bring along a Pranakasha production entourage the next time, or maybe not. Maybe entourages may not be the way to approach wayward people. Better call for the end of this chat. Okay, there you go. It was really, you want to go there and end with "it was fun"? Oh my. Hey John X, I will let you pop off anytime, sir. Can't wait. You love season 1, season 2 less so, really, but still very character driven. Made a few points that angered the right people. See, some people think that, like Nathaniel, think that it didn't make enough of those points, and season 3 just seems like a fan's production for fans. What are people talking? Well, I talked about the turnout on our Twitter and Instagram, but it's about 3/4 thrilled, 1/5 wary, but looking forward to it, and just a couple of points not watching. It seemed like the most enthused ever before a show. And as you pointed out to me, even on the parrots, the season 3 pre-buzz is a third higher, 50% higher than it was for season 2. Melanie, I wish they'd follow through with. Well, I hear more noise, at least about Section 31. I hear noise about that. So there we go. Happy Trekland Tuesday and happy Valentine's Day. Absolutely. Say, Starfleet boy. Good to see you again virtually. Glad you bopped in, man. The thing about it is they didn't dub them in the needed languages. Could be. What was my favorite moment of the premiere night? I should have something, right? I think I have a tie. Because I had many, many moments, and I didn't get into all of them specifically. on the second opinion. Two of them, and I didn't say these specifically. One was when the social media manager of Secret Hideout came up and asked me if I was Larry, Dr. Trek. He would have bought me a drink, but the drinks were free. That just kind of gobsmacked me because I'm used to thinking, who's watching, who's paying attention, and who's whatever. Of course, it was partly his job, but still, it was interesting. And finally, meeting as an adult, meeting Micah Burton and telling her a story about when I remember her visiting her dad directing on Enterprise when I was doing a set visit day, and how everything stopped. She came in after school, like a little mini version of a take your daughter to work day. And she got very tickled because she remembered that, and she had no idea I'd mentioned it in the story. So I've got to get a clip of the story. It was for Communicator back in the day. I'm going to get the story and send it to her. So those are two little fun moments off. But I go on and on about just finally getting able to see folks face to face, flesh to flesh, and meet a lot of people. And see everybody in a good mood, see people acting normally and in a good mood again. And and having so many people care about each other and care about Star Trek and value each other's work. That was awesome. And have people appreciate what I do was kind of amazing. So there you go. Is that a good question? Good answer? Okay. Everybody, and while we're at it, Jackie Chan should be in Trek too. I'll second that. Sure, why not? There you go. Hey, Tumor Boy, you're hello. Okay, well, better late than never. Better safe than sorry. Better late than never. The readings of the Shuttle Pod show were both great. Cool. Yeah, Tumor Boy, I saw a couple of your bosses Thursday. I saw Al afterwards. Mm-hmm. Okay. Thank you, Glenn. Thank you, Christoph, for your end of the chat efforts here. And this is about the Shuttle Pod show. They did the Odd Couple one day and Shuttle Pod 1 the other. And on the second, they also did a live podcast, videocast show. Only Shuttle Pod 1 was public. The other two were Patreon only. There you go. Wow. Get his number, Larry. Absolutely. Thank you, Susan. That's what I've been saying. Have a great Picard week. Be plenty to talk about next week after the first episode. And we'll see what the reaction is, the show itself and the reaction. It would have been so much fun, and it was. It was just on many levels. It was very enjoyable to me personally. It's especially, yeah. All right, that's it, gang. That's a Tuesday for me on a very, very busy week. Once again, hey, if you are, Picard is dropping on Thursday here in the States and Canada, midnight Wednesday, and the same a day later, 24 hours around the world on Prime, supposedly, maybe already on Paramount Plus. Check your local listings for time and station. And that's happening. And we'll have the meltdown online when the world starts seeing this for real. But also, if you're in LA for Gallifrey, I'll see you on Saturday. The Token Trek panel is all I'm doing this year, and it's just a day, and it's at 3:00, but I'll be there most of the day, bopping around, seeing who I can see. And I think a lot of the people who are on the cruise next week are in town early. Some people are coming to Gallifrey if they were able to get tickets. Otherwise, I'll see you noon on Thursday Pacific, 3 Eastern with Lolita and Janet. I'll see you 11:30 on Friday Pacific, 2:30 Eastern with Dr. Ali and our first reunion special Life Support Live. It's the theme of the show. I don't have it here. It's about about evolving identity, changing identity, self-identity. And it's based on the premiere episode of Picard, as well as recent Treks. We're going to do an old-fashioned, old-school, by-the-book, life support live structured show. I'll have some K3s, as well as Ollie with the away mission and the counselor's log. So there you go. Then Sunday will be the Lappies. This is amid the virtual TrekCon schedule going all the time. The Lappy Awards, and I'll be on the after special at 7:30ish whenever they get finished, because it might run long because of the surprises. And then Monday, still on Monday at 1 Pacific, 4 Eastern, Terrace and I giving you hints, tips, and tricks about visiting Star Trek location sites. And then after all that, that's Monday. Then that Thursday, I have a van load of folks to take on their first Star Trek location tour, a special LA Away Days edition of the Trekland Treks. But remember, anytime you're in LA, you can hit me up. If you're coming on your vacation, you're coming for business, you got a spare day, you can hit me up and we'll work out your own customized Trekland Treks. All right. What a week of Star Trek, gang. So yeah, I've got a sign for Ali and me on Friday. I hope a lot of you can join in. All of my panels will have live chat. So we'll be interacting with the live chat as it goes along, okay? Just to say. Thursday, Friday, Sunday, and Monday, okay? Once again, a big thank you to all of our Patreons for help making this happen. How about... There we go. A big thank you to all our patrons for helping make it happen. Thank you so much, guys. You too can jump in, guys, gals, and peeps. It's just patreon.com/TreklandLive. It goes toward all of our efforts here on streaming and enlarging streaming now with guests. Pay no attention to that second date. I have 2 last seats left. I can actually take somebody this late. You may not get the swag, but we've got seats for you on Thursday, February 23rd. If there's somebody seeing this and still is on the way, you don't have to be on the cruise. You can just be in LA proper and get there. 9th anniversary finale. Our 9th season ends with Terry Matalas from Picard talking about updating Trek, taking good care of Trek. You don't want to miss our Trek Files this week. And of course, all over the interwebs channels, it's LarryNemecek.com. It's Larry Nemecek at Twitter and even Mastodon and Larry Nemecek's Trekland. Where you are right now, just go like and subscribe, especially on YouTube, or go to YouTube and subscribe. Same thing on Instagram. Portal47.net. Tomorrow night, our guest for the Portales is Ellen Hornstein, who was a PA and production coordinator. Now she has a great career. Her uncle was Marty Hornstein, who was the line producer on all 4 Next Gen Trek, the late, great Marty Hornstein, who I never got a chance to... I bugged him about it, but he was like, I don't do anything special. And I never got to interview Marty, but his name is there. There's a couple of interviews with him on the docs, on the Blu-ray sets. Ellen, though, is our guest tomorrow night for the Portales. I'm putting that out there for you guys. And of course, if you're watching us, well, you're not watching this later on, but I'm glad for all of you to be able to make it live with us. We'll see you back next Tuesday, armed with everybody on the equal footing of knowing exactly what's up with this intriguing Picard series, what the tone, how it will and won't be different from previous Picards and previous Treks. So with all that to look forward to, including, hopefully, a fun Valentine's Day for everybody, take it easy, y'all. Till we see you next on whatever venue it is, even if it's not until next Tuesday here. Look forward to seeing it. Tell your friends, like and subscribe and share and all the things. Take a look at that second opinion too. Just whatever you do, stay healthy. Do all the things. Stay woke, check your sources, and yeah. Trek well, everybody.